Welcome to my February wrap up. So, the video where I show you all the books that I've hauled in the month of February, that I've read, and that I will be unhauling now after the month. So, sit down, grab a drink, because this will take a while. And let's go to the first section of this video and talk about all the books that I've hauled. And the first thing I want to say here is I was so proud of myself in January that I only hauled one book. And if you go back to the January wrap up, I said maybe I can repeat that in February. Maybe I can just haul the books that I've pre-ordered. But no, I failed completely here because I've hauled 12 books. Yes, 12. You've heard correctly. And 5 of them were ebooks, so let's start with them. And I'll set that a little bit into context because I had reasons for it. I can justify my hauls. The first book was Hard Bay 4 by Stephanie Ross, a German romantic suspense series set in the US. And in my first 26 for 2026 vlog, I've read book 2 and 3 of the series. And of course, I want to complete the series. Close to reading the other books. So, in my next final chapter vlog, which is obviously why I hold book 4 now to finish the series. It is called Brisantes Wiedersehen, so loosely translated to English, Explosive Reunion. And teaser here, I'm already reading the book, so justified, right? Then we had Rule of Wolves by Lee Bardugo, the second book in the King of Scars duology. So, also a book to finish a series, and in this case, also a whole universe. So, I will also read this book for my next final chapter vlog. I already started reading it, and that means justified, right? And then we come to the next vlog idea that I had because I got a digital review copy of To Cage a Wild Bird by Broke Fast, which is a dystopian novel, the first book in a new series. And I thought maybe make a vlog about the comeback of dystopia. So I not only got To Cage a Wild Bird, I also hauled Silver Elite by Danny Francis and Conform by Ariel Sullivan. I will also haul another book in March for this vlog or in April. It depends on when I get to it, because before I haul the fourth book for this vlog, I want to read these three, and I'm already reading Silver Elite and am halfway through the book. And Conform and To Cage a Wild Bird are on my March TBR, so I also plan to read them, which also justifies these hauls for me. So let's go to my physical hauls. The first one was a pre-order. It is Operation Bounce House by Matt Dinneman, a science fiction novel from the author of Dungeon Crawler Carl, a series that I'm still enjoying. So I wanted to read his newest work and am also currently reading it. So also justified. And this is a review copy that I got. The newest book of my favorite science thriller author, Mark Ellsberg. This is Eden. and I can't wait to read this book. I haven't started yet, but it is on my March TBR. So I really do my best to read the books that I'm hauling here. And I mean, a review copy is justified, right? And pre orders are also justified, in my humble opinion, because I've ordered these books a month ago, and these are both continuations of series that, in this case, I've already started. It is part of the Inheritance Games universe and the sequel of the spin off. The first book is The Grandest Game, which is still on my TBR, but I want to get to it soon together with Games Untold, and then I also can read Glorious Rivals. And I haven't started this series yet. It is book 3 of the Ember and Ashes series by Sawa Tahir, A Reaper at the Gates. But I plan to read this series this year. I'm just waiting for the last book to come out, or better, to be sent to me, because the company of these special editions is a little bit behind with sending the orders. But now that I'm close to finishing the Grishaverse, this could be my next fantasy project. And this beautiful book I also already started reading. It is Loving Lucas by J. McLean. So, the German edition of Lucas. I don't know which age group this fits in. The characters are YA, but I don't think the topics are. It is like Boys of Tommen, an adult series with young characters because of super heavy topics. And you will see more of this book in my next final chapter vlog, because I'm reading this book for that vlog. So I will tell you more about it in the next week. And then I took a look on my TBR shelf and realized a lot of the nonfiction books I have are either about writing or about suspense topics, like about the mafia, about the NSA, about the MI5, things like that. And maybe I want to take a look in other nonfiction genres. So I got Forgotten Woman, The Writers by Xing Jiang. I'm really intrigued to read this book because I'm super interested in the topic of this series. There are 4 books in the Forgotten Woman series: the writers, the artists, the leaders, and I can't remember the 4th one at the moment. But I also can't wait to read the book. I saw it on YouTube the first time. I can't remember on which channel, but I was intrigued by it. And when I saw that I could get this book for a cheaper price because it is used, I bought it. And then I also bought this book, but it is a new book, Mythos by Stephen Fry. This is about Greek mythology. It is the first book by him. There are 4 books in the series now, all about Greek mythology. And I wanted to start with this one because I'm not that deep into Greek mythology, and I want to change that, because at some point I want to read classics like the Iliad and the Odyssey, or even Dante's Inferno. So I thought it is good to start with the basics and build up my knowledge here before I read the classics, which leaded then to me hauling 12 books in total. But the biggest question is now, how many books did I read? And I can answer this question and can be still satisfied with the result because I've read 15 books. So more than I've hauled, which is always the goal, and I reached that. So even with 12 books hauled, I haven't failed. But let's talk now about the books that I've read. The first book was an ebook, and the only book that I've hauled in January, it is Monster and Mainframes by Barbara Truelove. And already one of my highlights in 2026 because I enjoyed this story, this writing so much. It was such a unique story and such a unique way to tell the story that I inhaled the whole book and that I can't wait to read more of this author. The next book of Barbara Truelove will be published in October, and it is a horror book, which is so not my genre. But as I enjoyed this book so much, I still want to give it a try, which is a huge honor in my opinion. That I want to try a genre that I don't enjoy typically just because of the author and my former experiences with her books. So, if you are interested in unhinged sci fi, please have a look at Monsters and Mainframes. And with that, we already get to the physical books that I've read. And I annotated this one. It is Shark Heart by Emily Habeck. It was part of my standalone video in February, and I really liked the writing of this book and especially loved the first part of the story. But after that, it lost me a bit, and I have mixed feelings about this book. But the message in the end was also something that I enjoyed. So, all in all, also a very unique story that is not for everyone, but I am very glad that I've read it. This chunk of a book was my Thursday Read With Me book since November, December. I'm not sure, but I finished it now in February. It is The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, the last book from the author now. So I've read now her whole collection and can say that The Secret History, her first book, is still my favorite. This is okay, and I didn't enjoy The Little Friend, but I'm still glad that I've read it, and the beginning of the story was super intriguing, but I wanted more of art history. I wanted the whole experience of that, but that wasn't the main part of the story. So it was more a problem of false expectations here. But like with Shark Heart, I'm still glad that I've read it now. This is another really thick book. It is The Eye of the Bedlam Bride, book 6 of the Dungeon Crawler Car series by Matt Dinneman. And all I can say here is that the world building from the series is really overwhelming at this point, and it is impossible to remember everything. But I'm still enjoying the story. I enjoy the characters. and I'm just living in the moment here and vibing with the story. So maybe these books are not highlights anymore to me because I feel overwhelmed by the whole knowledge for the series, but still enjoyable, and that is all I need. Is this the last break of my red books? No, but it is definitely another one. It is the last book of the Zodiac Academy series by Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti, Restless Stars, and I finally finished the series now. I think I've started the series in fall 2024, so a while ago. But the ending of this series was super, super fitting. I really enjoyed it. We had a lot of epilogues here that wasn't really necessary, but the whole wrap up of this super big story was perfectly made, and I am glad that I took my time with it, that I've read the books when I was in the mood for it, because these are definitely mood reads. There is a whole lot of drama in the series, and it is more of a popcorn read than high literature. But I don't need high literature all the time. I still enjoy these kind of books and had a great time with it. So now that I have finished the Zodiac Academy series, I still have two more series in the world of Solaria left: the Darkmoor Penitentiary series and the Sins of the Zodiac series, which I will both hopefully read this year to finish this universe. At least till the authors are publishing more in this world. And now, three books in one. These books weren't planned at all, but on Valentine's Day I was in the mood to read some romance, and so I picked Charade from my 26 for 2026 shelf and started reading this trilogy. And not only read Charade, the first book, I've also read Facade, book 2, and I've also read Masquerade to finish this trilogy. And these were super emotional, new adult books that I really enjoyed. They were better than I expected and much deeper than I expected. We had a lot of drama dumping in the start of each book, but we needed that as setup to see how traumatized our characters are and why, and to see them grow and overcome this trauma, or not overcome, but to start healing. And as I said, I really enjoyed these three books. I flew through them. I read each book in 1 or 2 days. And if you want to know more, you can see much more detailed opinions of me in my 26 for 2026 log that was published now in February. Another book from my 26 for 2026 list was King of Scars by Lee Bardugo. That was planned that I've read this, and I was surprised how much I enjoyed this book. I wasn't a fan of the first half of the story, but the second half, very, very good, very intriguing, full of action and emotions, of depth and character development. And so far, honestly, the book of the Grishaverse that I enjoyed the most. So I have really high hopes for Rule of Wolves, and we'll see if I will like that as much as King of Scars. Whispers was a super problematic book by Ayla Dade, a German author. It is dark new adult and a mix of the movie Nerve and the series How to Get Away with Murder, which was super intriguing to me, but there was a lot of problematic behavior in this that I didn't enjoy. And at one point, I was ready to DNF the book, but I pushed through it just so that my best friend can discuss the book with me because I knew she wanted to talk about it, and that included the ending of the book. But I can't recommend reading the book, and that was a fail to me. Still, not the last chunky book on my red book stack, but again, one of the chunky books. It is Releasing 10 by Chloe Walsh, book 6 of the Boys of Tommen series. This is one of my favorite series ever, but this book, 10 stars out of 5, but I can't recommend reading it because the books before were heavy, but this book so much heavier than the books before. I really took my time with it. I started reading this at the start of January and needed regular breaks here because this book really got on my nerves and I couldn't stop thinking about the things that happened here. It influenced my sleep, which isn't a good thing, and I really needed to take care of myself here and needed to stop reading when it got too heavy for me. I also thought about DNFing the book because of the heavy topics. Please read the trigger warning here. Take care of yourself. I pushed through it, and I think even if I had a hard time reading this book, it is super, super important to write these books, to talk about these topics, to not make it a taboo, because things like that are happening in our world. This is reality for some children, and that is what really broke me, what really fucked my head. But again, it is also super important to discuss these things, which I did with my buddy read partner, Michelle. I'm very, very glad that I had her company here. Like, by the way, I also had a lot of company on other books in this deck. So, again, very glad for my buddy reads and can't get enough of that. But now, drum roll, the final brick on my red book stack. We have Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson, which I started like the Goldfinch in November or December. I think November. And I read 100 pages each week. So I finished now in February and am still enjoying the whole Stormlight Archive series. And after I finished Words of Radiance, I also read Edge Dancer by Brandon Sanderson and finished in February. This is just a novella, not nearly as chunky as the other books, and definitely lighter than the main books of the series. We also read about the main character lived in one of the interludes in Words of Radiance, but now we have a full novella about her and the teaser that she might be important in later books of the Stormlight Archive series. So I will continue now in March with book 3 of the Stormlight Archive series, Oathbringer. And And if you want to know more about my opinions on the whole Cosmere universe by Brandon Sanderson, I have a Discord where I discuss every single book of the Cosmere universe when I'm reading it. I write a comment to almost every chapter, and you can join on this journey whenever you want. So, just giving you this choice if you are intimidated by this universe, so you can have company. And here we go. The last two books that I've read in February, part of the hard-based series by Stephanie Ross, a German romantic suspense author. And this series is a little bit older. I put book 2 and 3 on my 26 for 2026 list and enjoyed the books more than I thought I would be. So I'm positively surprised by it. The romance, of course, was not surprising, but I really enjoyed the suspense plots of these books. And as I already told you, I've hauled book 4, the final book of the series, now in February, and read this now in March to complete the series. So, as you can see, I worked a lot on my physical TBR, and this deck is a lot bigger than this one. So, a success, but also a success in number if I compare the whole haul versus red pile, including ebooks. So, I am satisfied with this result. But I also know we can reduce this deck now because I want to unhaul some of these books. So let me pick them and then I get back to you. Okay, here we go. These are the 4 books that I definitely want to unhaul. The book that I wanted to DNF. Then we have King of Scars. It is the only physical book of the Grishaverse that I have, and I don't plan on getting the other ones, so it makes no sense to keep this one. And then we have the 2 books I have mixed feelings about. I enjoyed my time with it. The stories were okay, but I can't myself reread these stories. So I will unhaul them and hopefully they can find another home where they will be loved. And honestly, I can see myself unhauling more books of this in the future, like the Games trilogy by Nirei Dawn and the Hardbase series by Stephanie Ross. But for now, I want to keep them. I don't feel ready to part with them. So they will get on the shelves behind me. And that means we are now at the end of this video. Please tell me in the comments what you have read in February. What was your favorite book? What was your least favorite? Like this video if you enjoyed it, follow my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye!